Well, I want to thank everyone for coming to Black Knowledge Matters. Thank you, Malik, for giving us the name, and all of you, those that agreed for it to be called that, Black Knowledge Matters. Tonight, we're going to introduce to some and present to others Sister Katrina Martin. She's the founder of KemetMagazine.com. And her African consciousness video, I mean, when you see it, she has 3.9 million views on YouTube. And so now she's rebranded and is bringing to us KemeticNews.com. And that's what we're launching tonight. And so without further ado, let us present the woman herself, Sister Katrina Martin.
Hello. Well, thank you for having me to Black Knowledge Wednesdays. Thank you so much. I am going to, present some of my findings that are really important to the Black community. And I would love for everyone to chime in and give their opinion. So this is more so a dialogue on what I've found in my research. And I just want us to have a discussion. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to share my screen and jump right into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is share like a promo of what KemeticNews.com is, and then we'll go from there. So that's my little promo for KemeticNews.com. Again, it's exposing issues affecting the Black community. So that's current events, health and wellness, business, African world history, as well as religion and spirituality. So now I'm going to jump into some of the topics that are really heavy on my heart. First up, of course, is the coronavirus, COVID-19, and what's currently going on in the news with that. So right now, the Infectious Disease Society Association has officially urged the White House to publicly issue a federal directive asking all states to require masks to control the pandemic. So if you have a mask on, it can help turn this deadly virus into a milder infection. And the UCSF infectious disease expert, Dr. Monica Gandhi, said, even if you do get the infection, it looks like the evidence is showing that you're getting less virus and that you're less likely to get sick. So a higher dose of the virus leads to more severe disease. And the reason why this is so important to Black people specifically is because we have more medical conditions, more existing issues. We have less access to medical care and are more likely to work in unstable jobs. So all of these factors make the coronavirus pandemic disproportionately hurt us even more than other groups. What are you guys' thoughts on
that? First, I would like to commend your presentation.
Thank
and let
you.
the minister know I will not be participating with my own after seeing that professional that professional presentation. That was amazing. Absolutely. I think that old adage about when America or when white folks get a cold, Black folks have the flu. So I definitely believe that our pre-existing medical conditions are making us more susceptible to the disease,
Right.
and we're dying more. We're dying disproportionately relative to our population. So if nobody else takes it seriously, Black people, we have to take it seriously.
Exactly. We have to take this seriously. And it's not just the mask, but I'll get into that further when we go into health and wellness. But yes, I mean, I feel as though people are making wearing a mask political, and I don't understand how wearing a mask could be so political nowadays, but it is. But we have to care about ourselves at the end of the day. Anybody else?
Just and really, you guys, this isn't just a self plug because I sell cotton masks, but yesterday I saw some articles, several articles on the news because we have so many different choices now. And I was really surprised at the story that I listened to last night about these covers that, you know, they go from your nose to the bottom, kind of like a sleeve, a scarf, you know, it's like a muffler. And there's a certain brand of them, I guess a lot of people are wearing. And they're saying that that particular type of mask, that it actually makes, it increases the chance of spreading virus because of it's not a normal material because of the elasticity and stuff in it. It creates more of a finer mist of the virus, which then makes it stay suspended and susceptible to infecting more people longer. Whereas if you are exhaling the larger droplets, you don't want to be exhaling anything but a larger droplet drops. And this particular product is prone to creating a very fine mist and projecting it out further than if you just had on a regular cotton mask.
Wow.
You know, and I'm glad you brought that up because I almost bought one of those today because I tend to like the way that they look, and I ended up buying a mask. I was in Home Depot. I bought a mask that had copper in it. So
Yeah, I didn't talk about the copper, but there are those ones, you know, those sleeves that go around your neck.
yeah,
It's actually a brand. So you guys do your research and, you know, find out exactly what it is. But I know that they definitely said that amongst the best simple protection that there is just the regular cotton material, not with special stuff woven and stuff in it. The regular old cotton mask is what they said, aside from an N95, which
Of course.
is the better choice.
Which are sold out everywhere.
Which you can't buy, right?
Now, don't they say for that one that we should leave them to medical professionals? They need those.
Yeah.
More.
Right, and they're very difficult to get. So you know,
They're sold out there.
Yeah.
Can I add one last quick comment? Because I do have two of those elastic type turtleneck masks, but I always wear it over the approved or suggested mask because I want to look stylish and be protected at the same time. And plus, mines have comedic symbols on it, so.
But see, you good with that because now you know the one underneath is what's protecting you, and that other one is just for show.
Right.
No, we you know we love fashion.
Exactly.
We love the fashion.
Exactly.
Well, listen,
So
I think it was Katrina that mentioned earlier that there was some politics with wearing masks, and I was hoping you might elaborate on that a bit more.
Oh, I was just talking about George Trump. I always put them together, George Bush and Donald Trump. But I was talking about Trump and how he like refuses to wear a mask. If you guys notice that a lot. And if you go to certain red states, you know, everyone's just adamantly against wearing a mask, to where it's like, if they've made it political. And I'm like, it's not about Trump. It's about our health. It's about us. It's about you, you know, because you're, you know, putting your family in harm's way. You're putting strangers in harm's way. Can you afford it? You know, and then who's to say that you may not die? Like, I have a friend who's a friend of a friend who was 29 who just passed away from COVID. So people are just being, you know, arrogant as well as ignorant, thinking, oh, I'm young, it doesn't matter. You can die too. So we need to stop with the
Yeah,
arrogance.
the ignorance part seems to be quite prominent. People are just acting very, very ignorant out of whatever the motivation is, whether it's to be a supporter or show themselves to be a supporter of Donald Trump is very uninformed, very ignorant, dangerous behavior. It's extremely unfortunate because this disease is right now is running rampant through the country. And there's very little indications of any significant let up. So to be that kind of recklessness is just unconscionable. Trump is primarily the driver, and he's always creating confusion, and like you said, refused to wear a mask for a long period of time. So yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic that it should become a political issue or
Right.
factor when we're in the midst of a pandemic that's just raging, really.
It's crazy to me.
Okay.
But there is hope here. There is proof that if you wear a mask, it will help you. So
Mhm.
hopefully, you know, this will
I'm
be
convinced.
enough. And then also, you know, the Infectious Disease Society is trying to urge the White House to mandate it now. So I'm hoping that will be enough, you know, like.
I was reading on this is Bobby. I was reading on congress.gov because this CARES Act is HR 748. Isn't that correct?
You
And
could be right.
yeah, it could be right. Yes. And you can look through on there, they have the movement of the bill. And this was introduced to Congress in January 2019.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why
I've
it
seen
was planned. Yeah.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, this is actually they're using the term pandemic, I guess, even though that doesn't help us now, but it's just, you know, I don't know. The CARES Act, it's a shame, really.
You know what? I wear my mask when I go out. When I'm walking, when I go on my walk, which is like about 3 miles, I don't wear it because I don't run into anybody. My wife, you know, has an autoimmune disease, and so we're always very careful about, you know, getting sick. She's been using, you know, the hand sanitizer. She never goes anywhere without it. You know, we've been kind of doing this for years. You know,
Anyway, right? Yeah.
and it's the mask. So yeah, it's good not to give other people diseases, and I think that by wearing a mask, you're not being selfish because you're just preventing if you have it from going out to others. It doesn't protect you, I don't think, from somebody just giving it to you, but you're keeping it to yourself, so you're not infecting your grandmother if you're a teenager. I saw something today that said that people that vape, you know, young people that are vaping, they're more susceptible to COVID-19. So
It's in your lungs. So.
Yeah.
The scariest part of the ignorance is just how easily the ignorance travels and ends up affecting the masses. Today was the first day of school. I teach kindergarten. Yesterday I was asked to come in, you know, to get my laptop and kind of check in. I really expected to be there less than an hour, but I stayed for several hours because I was also asked to train a new teacher. The principal of the school talked to me and that new teacher in an open cafeteria with about 7 or 8 other people and various kids running back and forth. No mask on, his mask hanging from his ear.
Everyone's doing that.
Yeah, his mask hanging from his ear as he's having this conversation with me. And then at the end, he said something about everyone being there tomorrow at 1. I'm like, well, what do you mean 1? I said, you know, we're teaching online. He says, no, we've invited all of the parents to come and pick up any supplies or books or anything they need from their teacher. Everyone is invited to come tomorrow between 1 and 3. He invited the entire school to
Oh my
come and
gosh.
be there between 1
Just
and 3 o'clock.
because you have a mask hanging from your ear
It
or
doesn't do anything.
under your chin does not mean you're wearing a mask.
Right. But just
Wear it
like
over your nose and your mouth. That's wearing the
he
mask.
doesn't care about it, he's the head of a school that is in charge of hundreds of people. And so
I
like
see
it's okay.
everybody doing that.
Yeah.
That's just like a public service announcement. Okay.
Well, just before we move on, just remember that friends don't let other friends watch Fox News. You know, so.
Makes you confused.
Right. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next hot topic. I call it comedic topic, and that is reparations. So that's hot in the news right now. So Asheville, North Carolina, which is close to Charlotte, North Carolina, and its surrounding county, Buncombe County, has passed a historic resolution for reparations of its Black residents. This does not mandate direct payment, so this doesn't mean money, but instead it instructs county staff to prioritize racial equity in the implementation of the Buncombe County Strategic Plan. So one that's taking steps to reduce the opportunity gap in the local public school systems. It's increasing Black home ownership, business ownership, and other strategies to ability and build generational wealth. It's also going to reduce disparities in the healthcare as well as the justice system. And the resolution also commits Buncombe County to participating in Asheville's Community Reparations Commission, which will determine funding and give other recommendations for investments in education, home ownership, healthcare, and other areas with large racial disparities.
So that's a wonderful, sign. You know, I think that we should really, you know, take things like that and really know that we can build on that. Because I just wanted to say this about reparations. So I've been asked to speak to different groups, you know, like this Jewish rabbinical school asked me to speak to their students. And so I went through the historical, you know, the record of historical injustices here in this country. And then I began to talk about reparations as what I feel is what we, you know, there needs to be a public will to you know, to correct or make this thing more right. But I find this is the interesting thing. And the thing I always link to it is the disparities that are going on right now, the income gaps and the wealth gaps and all that. But this is the funniest thing. I've talked to a lot of mixed racial groups, and it seems like when I talk about reparations, they really get quiet.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
They really don't want to hear it. Right, but we got to keep on. We got to keep on pushing it. We got to keep on pushing it. So I'm glad that your newspaper, you know, brings that kind of news. That's encouraging. So I just wanted to say that. Okay.
Thank you. I mean, I'm happy that they've done it. So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, really.
Well,
Yeah,
also,
I think that's a very good positive step.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll be an incentive for other colleges and communities to try to do the same thing. But I still support a national reparation program, because from what little I understand from Asheville, from they've uncovered a direct linkage between some of their business success and their company's previous participation in slavery.
Oh, yeah.
That particular hook may not be available in all states. And so, you know, I mean, the records and everything just simply may not be available. So that's why I still continue to support a national reparations program. But what I think they're doing there, that's very positive, and I could see that being a model for a national program.
Yeah.
Yes, you know what? Also, I don't know if you have heard this. This was a couple of years ago now. The United Nations
Mhm.
has recommended, has passed some type of resolution or something of that sort for reparations for African Americans.
Mm. Right on.
Yeah, that isn't been in the news a lot.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And I think that goes until 2024. But you could go onto the UN website and look that up.
Mhm.
My question about the North Carolina setup, what results have there been for the bill they passed?
Oh, it just passed August 4th.
August 4th. Okay.
This is brand new,
Okay.
hot off the press. Yeah. So,
All right.
and it was split 4-4 too. So, it, you know,
So you're going to tune in on how it develops, huh?
Of
Or
course.
what happens? Good.
yes. I am
Good check you.
eyeballed in, and go to comedicnews.com for more, updates. But yeah, that's definitely what I will be updating constantly on for sure.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
Katrina,
You know
what
what-
about the
Go ahead.
African continent? You're going to be covering any news from the continent?
Yeah, I mean, my goal is to talk about, again, it's in the, if you go on there right now, I have a section on African world history as well as religion and spirituality. So that's definitely in there. But as far as current events, this is what's hot right now. I do have another piece that we could just jump into right now.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, you can go to the next slide.
Uh-huh.
Did anyone hear about, a lot of the Black colleges are getting millions of dollars from the lady, I guess it's Lisa, who divorced Amazon. She's donated millions and millions, like 20 million for one college, 40 million for other colleges. Black colleges that happened in the past 2 weeks. And then the NBA has pledged $30 million a year for the next 10 years for programs like this, inequality programs. And maybe the colleges would get that. So there's been some gigantic
Huge strides.
donations. Yeah.
And it's because of
Mhm.
what happened to George Floyd, obviously. I feel like that was like the straw, that broke the camel's back, basically.
Yeah.
Let me also say, just in regards to reparations, one of the best talks that I've heard about it, and you can go and you may want to include this on your website, Katrina, if you're able to, and that is Malana Karinga is being interviewed by Tony Brown, and this was on the old Tony Brown Journal.
Right.
And he is talking about, not just, monetary thing, because if you do that, the way he put it, it's just commerce gone bad, and so he starts talking about, free college education for all African Americans. He really lists a lot of things that are concrete, that besides financial compensation. Just consider this: they're talking about getting rid of cash, and they're the actual dollar is not backed by any mineral, gold or silver. So how much worth is getting, say they give everybody $50 million, because I've heard that figure, 50 times 0, so there's something to consider. I really like what he says about that, and and it's only like about 12 minutes.
Okay, I'm looking that up right now.
It's on Tony Brown's journal.
Imhotep, is it talking about going to Bitcoin then if they get rid of the dollar?
You know, I've heard that. There's actually somebody that contacted me that wants to do a Wednesday night on Bitcoin. And I know that my friend Wayne Chandler is really big into that. So I don't know that much about it, but that's what people are saying. Going to Bitcoin and or whatever. Dick Gregory predicted this in the 80s, you know, that they would do away with cash.
Wow. Hello.
Hi.
Mama Gina here. When we talk about reparations and what we should do about, you know, getting some compensation for the madness we've endured, what I really would like to see happen is some differences in the elementary school system. I totally agree that just giving us money would not do anything. But the one thing that I've talked to the director of the school, Baba Jahi, and Mama Sia about is our history books, the books that our children are taught with, need to be redone. We're not in there. All of the things that we've done are simply not there. And it doesn't matter to me what we keep talking about, what we keep doing, if we don't start with the young children, like Mama Darnisha's pre-K and kindergarten, if they don't start to see something in the books that looks like them, that refers to them, that talks about them, look at all the things we created, the ironing board, the you know, Washington, D.C., all these things. That's our history that could inspire another young mind. But they don't get that. They don't read that. They don't see that. All of the things, I know I've heard that there's a book someplace that tells about all of the Black inventions, all of the things that we have created. And when we invented them, we didn't have the money to pay for the patents. So somebody else did, and somebody else got the credit. But it was our stuff. And I think if we could, they say that, you know, the textbooks are really big business. And they're all written by who? The others. They're written by them, not us. And that's part of why we're not in them. But I think we really have to put ourselves in them and insist that that happen, or we will just keep going through this, because we keep talking about, look what happened in the 60s. We're Black and we're proud. James Brown said it and all that. But we didn't change the foundation. So then we just keep repeating ourselves. We have got to change what happened. And if the public schools is where we start, it has to start there. These textbooks need to be burned, and we need new ones that tell everybody's story. It doesn't make sense to me to tear down a thing of Christopher and of Sir Francis and all that kind of stuff if we're not gonna say why, and if we're not gonna replace it with something that matters.
Yeah.
Our children need to, you know, when we were taught and went to school in the South deep, you were taught by your cousin's aunt or your friend's uncle or your friend's mother, people that look like us, people that lived in our community. We got to get back to that. If our children aren't able to see themselves, none of this is it's not gonna change.
That's true.
It's not gonna change for us.
We are miseducated. That's basically what we're getting to. We're miseducated. And the reason is because the oppressor is controlling everything. And why would the oppressor ever cite their source? If we're the ones who are the creators of it and they have stolen from us and they plagiarize, why would they cite their source? Okay, I'm gonna take it to that level. They're plagiarists. Okay, so at this point we're talking about reparations. In my opinion, we do need to be, we need to recondition our minds. We need to re-educate ourselves. And I do feel as though money would help, but in order to get the money, you would have to prove that you've been re-educated, right? I think we should have our own land. I mean, it's not just about money and it's not just about education. It's about where are we gonna be? That's the problem. We have all this police, which goes to my next slide. We have all this police brutality going on, these deaths, down to discrimination and being prejudiced, down to Jim Crow, down to slavery. That's what we've been enduring for 401 years now, being here. And at this point, we need to figure out, what are we gonna do? Like, should we repatriate and go to another country? Should we seek dual citizenship, or should we have independence here? And in my opinion, I feel as though it's both. We need dual citizenship in another country to where we should have the leisure to go to be somewhere else, but still keep our citizenship here, but also have independence in our own land. Like, we don't have a place where we can just be, where we control, where we have our own government, we have our own police, because clearly they have a problem with us, okay? Like, let's just put it plain. They have a problem with us, okay? So what are we gonna do? So that's what I wanna pose. Ghana has opened up their doors to us, which is like amazing to me, because in these 400 years, no one else has done that. So they are saying, hey, if you look at the bottom, an invitation for African Americans to resettle in Ghana if they feel unwanted in the US. So it's gonna.
So now, is that
That's an interesting
only
question.
in Ghana? Are there other countries in Africa that are offering that? I know at one time, Ethiopia and a lot of Rastas from Jamaica repatriated to what's called Shashamani land in Ethiopia. I know that a number of them, and you
I've seen an official invitation
Yeah.
like this.
The
I
president
think that
at a press conferences with the president of Ghana saying this. It's very, everyone in Ghana knows. I mean, and I spent that time there, so we're still different. When you get there, you're still an American. It's
right.
Well, you're different from a Ghanaian, but it's better than this crap.
Exactly.
yeah, because I've heard that.
I think that this dual citizenship.
I think that we should try all maybe 3 different thrusts. There would be some that would deport and go to Ghana or maybe to some other place in Africa. And then there will be those who will remain in here. Now, some of us that are here would have the option to going into a regional location, like going into a state. So maybe like a state like, say something like Mississippi, where there's already large number of Black people, but you get more Black people coming into that area. You can gradually begin to take over some of the local government here and function like a nation within a nation. And you'd be in a position to establish relationships to the Caribbean and to the African continent proper. So I think there's like maybe 3 prongs that we can look at in terms of restoring ourselves and reconnecting to the homeland, and the way we can travel now, and the way that we can communicate visually and by phone. It really makes the globe a bit smaller, and we can travel to Africa. Those that stay, we can travel to Africa and visit. We can stay a month or 2 months or what have you. All of us are not going to relocate to Africa, but it doesn't mean we still can't play a pivotal role in reestablishing African people on this continent.
Well, you know what? I think this, and I love what Brother Katabasi said. I think this kind of hits on, we're going to be celebrating Garvey's birthday on Monday. I want to say it'll be his 131st birthday, something like that. And this is what he knew. He knew that not everybody was going to repatriate and go to Liberia. That was the country in those days. But he wanted to make it so that, you know, convenient and welcoming. If you wanted to go there, you could. And I'm glad that Ghana picked up the mantle. You know, when I think about Ghana, it's the most Pan-Africanist state in Africa. And then what else is good about it is, you know, they're joining their currency. You know, Africans on the continent are talking about joining their currency, having one currency, and they're also talking about eliminating borders. So you know, things are progressing to a USA, a United States of Africa. I heard Dr. Malefi Asante say this. He said there's too many states in Africa. He said, just imagine if Nevada was its own country. You know, it's mostly desert. It wouldn't fare too well, you know, but it's surrounded by California, New Mexico, and so it's able to prosper. And so in the same way, that's what Africa seems to be moving to, although not as fast as many of us would like.
I'm glad you brought that up, because they now have a Pan-African village for us, wellness and restoration center, specifically for those who need healing. So it's for all Africans who have been colonized and traumatized by the African.
The screen just went black.
I'm sorry?
Oh no.
So again, who have been colonized and traumatized by the African slave trade and the oppressive systems that followed. And additionally, they also assist all Africans with reconnecting to Africa, and encourage the financial well-being of Africa, of course, by pinpointing and assisting enterprise and investment opportunities. So there is kind of like a healing center for you to, you know, reacclimate there as well, if you were to consider it.
Excuse me. And that project he's talking about is the one that Kwame is the kind of one of the leaders of that project. The Osebo land is what it is.
Excuse me, this is Baba Kofi here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is an excellent conversation. I started a little bit late. And it is a great conversation, but the thing is, I can remember when we went to Grenada. Because the point that I'm making is that we suffer from the Stockholm syndrome, because we had laid out the how we supposed to act when we get into Grenada and all that kind of stuff. But when we went down there, you should be surprised how bougie that we got toward the to the Canadian people. I mean, it was kind of ugly, because what happened is we are so brainwashed that we don't, you know, the point that I'm saying is that we are brainwashed to the point that we act like the people that treat us bad.
Exactly.
You know, so how are we going to de-brainwash ourselves? Because see, Africa don't need junk.
Exactly.
If you go over there, you should take a skill. If you got a skill or some way you can help them move to the front page, that's great. But what I'd like to see in some reparations is the fact that we are such a sick people that we should be allowed to have free education, free health, free health, whatever it is that we need. All that should be free, because giving us $50 million, we're gonna blow that anyway. Because all we have to do is, there might be a few people that wind up with that, but most of us don't even know how to save money. We don't even know how to work with the stock market. So what we need is a mass education.
Exactly.
That if the reparation will pay these people to come in and teach us and reprogram us. I can remember what Price, Cobb, and Greer had their thing with the University of California when we was there. We was having what we call a re-educational program that they would had us. We would go in on Friday and we would stay there until Sunday night at 1 or 2 o'clock. They were reprogramming us because what was happening is we didn't know how, because we had been treated so bad. We didn't even know how to act. We began to treat one another bad. Right. Even when we got promotion on the job, we still didn't know how to deal with the people that was under us because they was our buddy and we grew up with them. They felt that they should take off when they want to and all that, and we didn't know how to fire them. Otherwise, we just didn't know how to handle the freedom that we had. So unless we get reprogrammed so that we can understand all this kind of stuff, I mean, what good is it going to do? What good is it going to give us money? Because we still got cheaters, we got the hustlers, we got all those people. So the thing is, we really need to reprogram. I can see us maybe take 15 to 20 years and reprogram ourselves to the point that because right now we are no good. Right. We ain't even good to our own self. That's true. Let's alone talk about going to another country and then bring all that junk that we have learned from the ruling class and talk about helping them. Unless we can take over a skill or something where we can help advance them, but then again, how are we going to reprogram ourselves at the same time? Because I have ran into a lot of Africans that I had some working for me, but hell, they didn't even like me. But they put up with me because they were working for me. And that's a cheap creeper. I didn't even realize they all was that prejudice. But a lot of the Africans have a, what you call that mentality? That group mentality. In other words, if they was born, as one of the girls said, she said, look, there's a maid that works for my mother, and her son, if he became the president, he still would be his mother still would be the maid. They wouldn't change that. Because I said, gee whiz, what is this? But there's so much, Africa kind of messed up too, because guess what? The same people that brainwashed us, brainwashed them too. So how are we going to go through with the reparation? We need to sit down and have a real brain thrust on what to do with how can we handle this money? Because they're talking about Bitcoins and all that kind of stuff. Most of us don't even have no idea what that is.
I think that
we need to be re-educated.
We have to reprogram ourselves.
Yes, we do.
Right. So what you mean is you got to, we have to sit down and get a think tank and select group of people that can come in and reprogram us to the point that where we have to show that we've been reprogrammed.
Exactly. I think the Pan-African nation or the Pan-African village in Ghana does that for people who come to Ghana, but they also come here periodically to talk to people who might want to repatriate, and they have to do that with mental wellness. So they have sessions where they do just kind of what you're asking. They look at what you're thinking and how you're thinking and try to lead you into a way of reestablishing yourself, and also getting ready if you want to move to the motherland, especially Ghana.
Yeah, and and all that is
Pan-African Village, I think, has a website.
Sweetheart, that's good if we're talking about a few people at a time. But when we're talking about reparation, we're talking about a whole nation of people, African Americans.
We're talking about people who are ready to do it. Everybody, like you said, is not ready to do it. And they need to be trained and reprogrammed so that they do it effectively.
That's where we come into when are we going to get together and do a brain trust and decide on how we're going to carry out all this stuff. First, we need
already have a group that does that. Try it and see.
I haven't heard from them.
Wosay does it.
That's right, Wosay does it. Wosay does, but guess what? We don't have enough money to really put our stuff out there. So
we don't need the money. We need the mindset.
We're out there. That's what this show is about.
Sweetheart, I know we're out there.
Website is about. Okay. That's why you have to we have to just do what we can.
I'm not knocking that. I think we have did great in 40 years. But what we're talking about a mass group, because what's happening is, But
the Osebo, the Pan-African village, is absolutely not talking about a mass group. I've been involved in it. I was there when the contract was signed on the deal where the chiefs gave the land to the organization. And they are absolutely not talking about a mass of people. They're talking about a slow process and really
small village.
Individual.
Right. And what are we going to do with all these young African Americans running around shooting and killing one another? We have to slow that down.
Well, I didn't say I had to.
Rastafarians did.
That's what I meant about the fact that we have taken on the attributes of the ruling class.
Kofi,
And we had to be totally deprogrammed.
Kofi,
A lot of problems to fix.
Kofi, you know what? You're so full of energy. I feel the air.
Because I'm 82 years old and I'm tired of looking at this.
That is coming through. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think there's two things that we're discussing. Actually, there's three things, possibly four. So but the two main things that we seem to be talking about is one, reparations,
Right.
and two, repatriation.
Or
Okay.
independence. See, that's the thing. It's like we need to discuss our options. And so that was the next thing that I wanted to bring up is the sovereignty or independence. And
now, when you say
independence, let me explain.
Break that down.
Let me explain. Thank you.
Break it down.
So the best people who have done that are the Native Americans. Okay, so we need to look to them as an example of how to successfully achieve this. So according to their guide on tribal nations in the United States, an introduction developed by the National Congress of American Indians, there are 574 federally recognized Indian nations, variously called tribes, nations, bands, pueblos, communities, and native villages in the U.S. Tribal members are citizens of 3 sovereigns, so their tribe, the United States, and the state in which they reside. And they are also individuals in an international context with the rights afforded to any other individual. So we need to look to the natives as an example of how we can gain our independence from the US. And they've already done it, and this is how to do it. We need sovereignty.
See, they never really bought into this America thing. So they still had that culture with them. That's what helped them to move forward so fast. Because by them being like a state in a state, they had their own land. So what happened, look what they did. They started all of these gambling casinos where they make thousands of dollars. That's why I can remember when I was young, we saw drunk Indians and things lying around on the street and all that kind of stuff. You don't see that anymore, because when they set up all these gambling casinos, made all this money, they helped take them off. But still, they still got a lot of stuff they got to go. But the point is, because they was culturally, and they never gave up that. Like we wound up buying a hook, line, and sinker because we was totally reprogrammed. See, they wouldn't allow themselves to be reprogrammed. They fought to tooth and nail. They gave up their life in order to maintain a certain lifestyle. So they didn't have to really start from bottom.
Yeah, no one has endured what Africans in America have endured.
Correct.
Okay, so that's point blank. So we can't, but all I'm saying is the Native Americans have independence in the US. And that is a model that we can follow. Yes, we need to reprogram ourselves. We have the ghost of the plantation. It's a whole phrase for it.
Right.
We're suffering from the ghost of a plantation. We need to break this psychological slavery that has been haunting us. Every single thing that we do, all the negative things basically pinpoint back to slavery, these things we have never addressed. So we need to have a mass addressing of all these issues that are affecting us. And I feel like that's what's happening now. But we as a collective in the Black community, this think tank that we're doing, we need to be more diligent. And I feel like we're protesting for the wrong things, basically. So I feel as though if we had independence on our brain, we had reparations on our brain, reprogramming on our brain, then we can make it happen. So that's why I'm bringing it to the group.
Yes, I can appreciate what you're saying. And I think that what we have to consider, and this has come up already, is that this land belonged to the Native people. And we are not the Native people here. Now, if we talk about a new nation, we need to think about a new nation for us in the motherland. Or we can consider some ways of adjusting or trying to get land from the natives here if we want to create a nation here. The other thing is that there have been established genetic testing that people here can go through in order to find out what part of the motherland or what group in the motherland you are related to. And that's if they can do your, what they call maternal DNA. But you can get genetic testing done and figure out whether you were, your elders or ancient relatives were deported from or enslaved from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Mali, or what part of, and then you could go back. And sometimes when you visit the motherland, they look at your features and they can tell you what group you belong to. So consider all of those things in terms of creating a nation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I definitely support dual citizenship. I think if we think back to Ron Brown, who was, I'm not sure if he was Secretary of State, but I know he was in the Clinton administration.
Secretary of Commerce.
Secretary of Commerce, and he was working towards dual citizenship when he had the misfortune of the aircraft flying into the mountain. And some say that was deliberate because of what he was working on. But I'm a strong supporter of dual citizenship because, I mean, Africa has some of the world's largest natural resources. And the Chinese realize that because they're over there right now.
That's right.
In Africa, their natural resources and putting Africa once again in debt. But I don't care where we are, even here in this country, it was African slave labor and our enslaved ancestors built the wealth of this country as well as Europe through cotton and sugar. And so we can stake claim to this country and the continent of Africa. If you think about Africa, I can remember being in college and seeing how the European nations, it's called this Great African Pie. And the European nations, they were not physically in Africa at the time, but these nations in Europe got together and they carved up Africa. Somebody took the Gold Coast, somebody took the Ivory Coast, as if Africa was devoid of people. So whatever we're talking about, and even when it comes to the monetary value of reparations, Germany pays reparations today to Europe, so does this country. We should be unapologetic about what is owed to us because America owes us a debt that has not been paid. And I don't, for one, say that we should not be talking about money, because I'm not saying you got to start writing out checks to individual families, but yes, put 100 trillion in a bank somewhere and let the heads of African nations and African states and those who are more educationally informed than some of us are, and let's figure it out. I'd rather have the money sitting in a bank as opposed to saying we don't need the money. Every nation needs money, so we need the money. It don't have to be sent out in checks through the mail, but it can be somewhere ready for when we are ready, prepared mentally, spiritually, to be responsible handlers of that money. It is there because every other nation, Israel gets money. They didn't go through a long process of, okay, well, who's going to get it? They said, Germany, you owe us. And Germany had to start writing checks to Israel, and they're still writing checks. And so does this country. So I think we have to take a dual approach. Yes, money, yes, training, yes, re-education, yes, school, all of it. Because we are so, the world is indebted to us today, and nobody wants to pay the Africans for the resources that have been stolen, from the legacy that has been stolen from us, from the land that have been stolen from us. Even I respect the indigenous people, but Africans, our enslaved ancestors, built this country. We built this, and we built the markets and the capitalism in Europe as well. Cotton and sugar. The check is due. We need to get paid.
The cash in.
And you also have to realize too that the ruling party, they know that we once was well educated, that we once ruled things, that we had it together, and they are scared to death. That's their problem right now. That's why they're doing it the way they are now, because we're afraid, because they're not having enough babies. They're afraid that we're gonna take over and treat them like they treat us. Yep. So they always gonna be sitting there making sure that that they hold back. That's why they don't want to give us reparation, because number one is they know that we are capable of doing it, because there's no way that we can become the best baseball player, the best football player, the best in everything that we do. We take over. That's because, number one, we are a much more superior people than they are. They know that. All we need to do is develop our brain the same way. All you have to do is look at the ones that get education. Look at us that get through. Look at my son. I mean, we can go as far as we want to go, but the thing is, you think the man gonna allow us in a mass to do that? That's why I said if he wanted to, that reparation could fund all black colleges. And black colleges should never have to want another dime. And we should get free education and make sure that the people that we put in these colleges are Afro-centered so that they can make sure that when we come out of that, we will understand. If you notice the movement, that when the Black Power movement way back in the 60s, all of the leaders came out of HBCs. Now look where the leaders are coming out of Harvard and University. So that brainwashing, you see what I'm saying? Remember what Carter G. Woodson said? Carter G. Woodson said, give us the time. He said, after a while, they won't have to tell us to go to the back door. We'll make a back door if anyone there. Because when you go off to those institutions, they're not going to teach you what you need to know. They're going to teach you what they want to know. But we can recognize, when I was in school, in the 6th grade, the teacher told me if I didn't make 100, I can go to reset. You know, I made 100 every day because I wanted to go out to reset. So the mind is there, but we have to have the incentive there. And that's all I'm saying is that, you know, we need to sit down and get brain trust so that we can plan this thing so that we can have a blueprint. Like Wose is excellent at reprogramming. Look at our kids. Look at my granddaughter that just went through Woke. She just started her own business. One of the boys that I mentor, hell, he just started his own business because I told him that education is great. But if you don't get the kind of education you need, you have to make it work for yourself. What good is education do if you don't get a job to go work for somebody else? And that's what we do when we come through these colleges. We get the education so we can work for them. A black person and a white person both go through the same class and both make A's, and the white person go out and open a job, and we go out and work for the white person. See, that's the kind of mentality I'm talking about that we need to reprogram.
Yeah, but when we reprogram, we need to have a language, and we have adopted Swahili, but we don't teach Swahili. We can't do everything in English. And of course, if you're looking at the diaspora, like places in the Caribbean that speak French, like the Haitians, you know, we have to adopt a universal language, and we can't use their currency. If we want to start a business, why do we have to use dollars? Why can't there be a Pan-African currency, which is what they're working on? So we need to look forward instead of just imitating what they do, because we're going to end up doing the same thing that they do.
That's all we know is what they have taught us. We are, like I told you.
No, that's not all we know. That's what some people know. Well, there are other people who know a lot more than that.
The ones that are in charge and leading, they're the ones that have been programmed, because when they go to these white institutions like Harvard and Yale and all that, they're reprogrammed. All you got to do is
look at Pan-Africa, when you look at Kwame Nkrumah, and when you look at some of the others, even Nelson Mandela, they had another language that they could speak.
Of course they do. Can you imagine me trying to learn a new language at 82?
Yes, yes.
Come on.
Can I interrupt? I love this discussion, but there were a couple of more items
I'm sorry.
that Sister Katrina wants to address. And when you look at her website, she has current events, she has health and wellness, she has business, she has African history, and she has religion and spirituality. And so that is the purpose of this class today, is to focus on KemeticNews.com. KemeticNews.com.
That's right.
Step back in, Sister Katrina.
Oh,
and let me just interject something real quick, just real quick. So what we've been talking about here is the how. But, you know, from a spiritual perspective, you really want to talk about what you want and why. And the how will work itself out. And so this is what I feel I'm so gratified by, you know, what you put forth, Katrina, because this is telling us what is available for us, what are some options that we can think about, and what is the news, you know, around our community. And so I think if we just focus on the what and the why, you know, then we'll get there.
Yeah.
You know, we will.
It's true. You're so right. You're so true. I love it.
It's gonna take time.
Exactly.
It's going to take time. That's
it
why
may not even be our lifetime, but at least
we need to start with a new generation.
Exactly.
With a new generation, like we do at Wolsey, and start teaching, bringing.
Not the how, the what. Not the how, the what.
Make sure that's okay, bro. Make sure the teachers that we bring in got it. Okay. Make sure the teachers that we bring in have it, because we're having a think tank set up to make sure that the teachers that are coming in are programmed so that they make sure that they teach what is correct, that's going to lead us. I'm sitting here reading a book on regeneration, and all of a sudden I realized that everything Christianity do, they got it from Egypt. Yeah. Not Egypt, but
Kemet.
It came out through that, right? They came out through that.
Valley.
The whole thing come out of Nile Valley, and I'm saying to myself, see, we have been so reprogrammed that I go to a Christian church down here, and somebody asked me how I handle it. I said, because see, I know the difference. I know Mary, Jesus, and Joseph, Isis, Osiris, and Horus. I can separate the two. At 6,000 years before that. I said, but at the same time, if I sit here, as Dr. Ben says, one thing you don't want to do is mess with a person's religion.
Right. Because
all you're going to do is start a fight. So what I do, I just sit there and listen, because as he also said, everybody needs to belong to a group. And because I am in the belly of the beast, I have to make sure that I'm in a group, so in case somebody kidnap me, they'll know I'm missing. But if I operate on myself down here, nobody will know I'm missing.
Seems like we need to have a special session with Baba Kofi. But like Minister Imhotep said, we need to look at what the program is for the day. But I appreciate all of what you're saying, Baba Kofi. And I think a future session just with him might be a good thing.
I think
I was thinking the same thing.
Right.
Katrina,
I
take
agree.
it away.
Well, I didn't mean to mess up the conversation.
Oh, you didn't, man.
I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to talk about health. Okay.
That's a good one.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because obviously COVID-19 is knocking us out at disproportionate numbers than other racial groups. Okay. So if we're going to talk about health and ways that we can help ourselves, it starts with the food, guys. I hate to say it. I know we don't like talking about that, but I'm going to bring it up. Okay. So this is the next slide. So I'm just preparing you for what the next slide is going to say. All right. So here it is. All right. And I didn't make this up. All right. I did my research. All right. So meat, fish, dairy products, and the risk of cancer. Okay. So this is according to the World Cancer Research Fund, there is strong evidence that consuming red meat increases the risk of colorectal cancer, processed meat as well, fish increases cancer as well, and dairy product decreases the risk, supposedly, but I think it causes it as well. So I'm just bringing this up to you guys because I know in the Black community, we don't like to talk about food, but if we want to heal ourselves, we have to stop ingesting the problem, and then we can take herbs to heal ourselves as well. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to see how you guys feel about these.
That's great. And I have something to say about that because I'm here in Alabama. Do you know they have farms, they grow farm fish. They grow fishes in ponds that they feed them, whatever it is. It's the same way with chickens and pigs and all that other stuff. Their injections were, because they're such a small thing, they inject these antibiotics in them. And what happens is when we eat this stuff, the stuff winds up in us. That's why we are so messed up. First of all, you need like a free chicken. Because I can remember my grandmother used to go to the chicken. She would put it in the pen for about a week and feed them corn because of the stuff that they've been eating later on, so they could clean them out. But just about everything we eat now is processed. I can remember about 2 years ago, I could buy some wheat bread, and that wheat bread would go bad in 3 days. But guess what? I bought some wheat bread about 5 months ago and messed around and forgot to put it up. A month later, it was still looking good because they done messed up wheat bread now. They put everything in.
I did a test on that, and I kept a loaf of really cheap wheat bread. It was not wheat bread I bought. Somebody gave it to me to give to somebody else, and they never came and got it. it lasted for 7 months before it molded.
Ew.
That's right.
7 months. And it still wasn't all nasty. It got hard and it was a little mold. If I hadn't known better, I might have ate that. It's
Oh
7
my
months. And I said, oh my God.
But see, everything, see, because what's happening now, they have to make sure that stuff doesn't go bad now. So what happened is they processes everything that we eat. Even the canned food, if you notice, it got sugar in it. It got too much salt in it. There's always something to make sure we keep eating it.
Exactly.
And what happened is we've gotten conditioned to it that sure, if we was to get back to vegetarian, but then again, because of how they grow food now, everything is generic. It's generic, and so what will happen? Say what?
We need to grow our own food.
Yeah, in our backyard. I did that when I was in California. My backyard, I grew everything that I wanted. Matter of fact, it was the way I would come down after I'd been to work and be all stressed out. I would come back and go out in my backyard. I had whatever was in season that I had it. I had a green thumb. I could have corn.
So that's what we have to get back to, guys, is cutting out all this meat, processed food. The next slide is talking about sugar, how it's also causing cancer. So excess sugar also helps to many types of cancer to grow rapidly. So between the meat and the sugar, the processed food, this is how we got to these disproportionate numbers in the Black community, okay?
That's right.
And that's why COVID is knocking us down.
That's right.
So that's all I'm saying is we have to stop this. I tell myself this as well. You know, I'm American too, you know, but I have to spread what I learned. That's why I'm here, is to pass it on to everybody.
I think when we eat food, we also have to think about our genes. And, you know, when they do sugar, it's white sugar. So they processed it.
They bleached it.
If you go to a health food store and you get raw sugar or organic sugar, it's going to be very different. And you still don't have to use as much of it. And also there's honey,
fruit,
organic honey as a sweetener.
Or eat fruit.
And also, when you do the gene test, the genetic test, you can find out what you can eat and what you cannot eat. Fish, tilapia fish is from Africa. And even though they grow it here on some of the farms, it may or may not be good. So you have to know where you're getting your tilapia from. But some of the other fish we never had in our gene systems from our motherland. So we have to look at, you know, we had sugarcane there. We had tilapia fish. We didn't have no wheat, so wheat is not good for you. We had rice and corn. Rice and corn is good as long as it's brown rice and it's good corn. So we have to look at where we get what we eat.
Yeah, but it's like nowadays, like corn is GMO, right?
That's right.
Rice has arsenic in it. So it's like the things that, I mean, it's scary nowadays with this food.
Because they're genetically modified just about everything.
Can I interject here? I just put in the chat Dr. Sebi's nutritional guide. Dr. Sebi's, and so it is Dr. D-R-S-E-B-I-E. Excuse me.
No, S-E-B-I, right?
Oh, you know what? I didn't spell it right. It's
it's like you're doing cellfood.com. Is that
Dr. Sebi, cellfood.com. And on that list, so now those of you that are familiar with Dr. Sebi, he came up with a list of things that we should eat as African people.
Exactly.
And it has to do with foods that are electric. And he encourages us not to eat foods
I have it right here.
Okay. So I mean, and if you look at his list, so he has a list here of vegetables, and he has a list here of fruits, natural teas and grains, and nuts and oils and spices.
You got everything.
Pungent spices, salt flavors, sweet flavors. And then he has like a list of important things to remember. And if what you eat is not on this list, then you're not supposed to eat it.
Well, it comes back to either your body being alkaline or acidic. So all of these foods that are on this list are alkaline. So that is, I believe, 6.9 or above. If it's below that, so all these foods that we're eating are acidic, and that's where cancer lives, in an acidic body or acidic state. So that's why we need to eat better. That's why these diseases are knocking us out, because we're just eating badly, period.
Well, you know, I heard, and I had the pleasure of having Dr. Sabi out here about 15 years ago, whenever it was. And if you can just start with eliminating anything white.
There you go.
Oh no, that's right. That's right.
White sugar, white bread, white
That's
bread.
right.
Let's just start
Potato.
there, and you can start making, incorporating, you know, slow, you know, incorporating white. But also too, I also want to mention, along with the diet, because there's people who eat like this and live up to 95. And then you have people going out at 41. And also, I think a part of the equation here is that you have to be emotionally healthy too, because you can be around people that can actually make you sick, even if you're eating healthy. Right. So you gotta have, it's really balanced, spirit, emotionally, and food. And so anyway, I just want to throw the emotional and spiritual out there, because
I love that you said that. That kind of jumps, goes into my next slide about some of the herbs that we can take along with the healthy eating and, you know, doing yoga or, you know, exercising, right? So one herb that I love is ashwagandha. And it is, you know, an ancient herb. It's been used for over 3,000 years to relieve stress, increase energy levels, and improve concentration. It reduces your blood sugar levels. It also contains anti-cancer properties, so it'll help you with that. Reduces cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone. It reduces anxiety, and it also reduces symptoms of depression. So it's just like a powerhouse herb that I just really recommend that you put in your regimen. So what I do is I order it online, organic. I use my coffee grinder, grind it up, and I use it as a tea. So that's one thing I put in there.
How does it taste?
Yeah, is it bitter or?
It's bitter, but I use stevia, or I also use I mainly use stevia because it doesn't spike your blood sugar levels, and it's also natural. It's a plant as well, so it's a natural sweetener, and it saves the day.
I use stevia too. Yeah, it does.
It saves the day for me. And all of my smoothies, you know, and my tea. That's what I do.
That's right.
So that's one herb I definitely recommend. I also recommend astragalus, and this boosts the immune system. It helps combat infections, has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. It protects the kidneys and the heart, and it also has anti-cancer effects. All right, another one is chrysanthemum. It acts as a nerve relaxant. It improves heart health, skin care, anti-inflammatory, boosts your immune system, helps prevent osteoporosis, improves vision, and prevents chronic illness. Another one that I love, especially for the ladies, Dong Quai, strengthens the bones, reduces blood sugar, promotes heart health, decreases inflammation, and it also alleviates symptoms of menopause and PMS, and it also helps treat depression. So it's awesome. Simplest is in my
So do you use that as a tea?
I do. Yeah. I just have a little concoction that I drink every day. And I just feel like these are things that we need to do to help boost our immunity, especially what's going on right now. Eating right, drinking tea, working out, reducing our stress, you know, meditating, you know, all those things just help to create, you know, a better, you know, stronger person. So.
I hope
And
you can get those in the right store because they need to be organic too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I
they're just
definitely said
grown.
organic. It's always organic
Okay,
for sure.
good. Thank you.
Yeah, it has to
Yeah,
be. Otherwise, you're taking in all the chemicals, and it's defeating the purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I moved back here to Alabama, I've got me a geriatric doctor. And one of the first things she told me, I need to give up all white stuff.
Yes.
You know, and I'm also a form of stevia. That's what I use.
Yeah.
And also she told me to get this tart cherry. Tart cherry, and then that's TURMERIC. And it's also ginger tonic. And I get all this from the health food store.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've changed my whole diet.
Good.
You know, and I try to eat I try to eat vegetables and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, when you go to the health food store, gotta have money.
Yes.
Your poor people can't go to the health food store.
It ain't cheap, right?
No, it ain't
Being
cheap.
healthy, but see, this is how I look at it. Either you're paying for it up front, or you're paying for it in the hospital later.
That's exactly right. And
so
that's
how
do
you want to pay? It's like either you buy a new car, right? Or you and you make those payments, right? Or you buy that used car and you're stuck on the side of the road somewhere.
That's right.
And then you have to pay all at once. It's like it's your choice.
And not only that, and by eating, let's stay away from all these white foods and starches and all that kind of stuff, because what happened, a lot of that stuff, it turns to sugar. You know, like she told me I need to back off.
Cancer thrives off sugar. It's living off
she
sugar.
says, told me I don't eat grapes and I don't eat peaches because she said they're full of sugar. And
what's the difference between natural
I stay away from corn.
It's a difference between natural sugar and processed.
I understand that.
Sugar. That's all I gotta
understand that. But at my age, at 82, when she told me to stay away from it, I stay away from it.
Gotcha.
Because whenever I do something dumb and I have to go in there to see her, I always feel embarrassed. Because she just go like, no, you didn't.
I told you.
And also, I think we need to consider how much we eat. We don't need to eat a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
You could have a half a cup of grapes, and it may not be so bad as having 3 big
right, a handful, and I love grapes.
Or a bunch of cookies, okay, like that.
Exactly.
Between grapes and
cookies. What you said is a handful. That's exactly what I do. If I cannot put it in the palm of my hand, I don't get anything that's spill over. If I can't put it in the palm of my hand, that's it. Even when I eat peanuts, I make sure that I don't, I can put them in the palm of my hand. Because
make sure they're organic too.
I count calories. I count calories because so that I can keep my weight down. Because what happened, I can blow up real easy. But
and if you cook the peanuts,
Hey, General, can I interject in? We have about.
Of course.
Kofi knows that I affectionately call him the General. I've been doing that for years. We have approximately 7 minutes.
Okay.
And we want to announce what we're going to do next week, but we're going to let Katrina proceed, and then you know what? This is not the last time that we're going to talk with Katrina. And Katrina, you need to tell us a little bit more about your website. You know how much it is to register and all of that, so that we can get online and support your business. And
so
I mean, I do have a free section if you want to see my work prior to subscribing, but you can subscribe as low as $4.95 a month, and you'll get my latest posts or articles or videos that I do monthly. And again, it's current events, health and wellness, religion and spirituality, business, as well as African/world history. I put it all in one. So I really just try to bring up topics that affect us, that we need to know about, we need to think about. And then you can also use it as a tool to teach other people. So this is really why I created the website, because as you know, being a conscious person, we're always educating other people, right? That's like basically our side job is awakening the masses, right? So I just got to the point where I'm like, I'm going to use the tools that I know, which is web design, to educate people. So that's why I have the YouTube channel. That's why I have the website, where you can say, hey, you know, I don't want to argue with you. You do your own research. Go to comedicnews.com. Check, see
Now,
for yourself,
are those caps are those caps?
Are
I
those
got
caps?
Comedic and caps.
No.
It doesn't matter. That's just the style that I like. But
Okay.
it's all lowercase. When you type in the website, it's comedicnews.com.
Good.
It'll
Because I
pop.
need all the help I can get.
Katrina, can I ask you a question, Katrina?
Sure.
When you first opened your presentation, you had Osara sat in the room there.
I did.
Can you explain why you got them up there?
Well, that's in my religion and spirituality section of the website. I go into depth about who they are. I explain what Kemet is. I explain the sacred African way. I explain the plagiarism of Christianity. That's really the driving secret. That's the secret driving force of the website. But I also feel as though we have other topics that we need to talk about. You know, you and I know about that. So you may not have to delve on that, but you could talk, you know, you can be in the current event section, or you can be in the business section, or you can be in the health and wellness section. But some people do not know about that. And that is really why I created the website in the first place, because enough people just don't know. And it gets to the point where you're just like preaching, you know, a lot or trying to teach people. And I just wanted to do it in a mass form. So that's what I did.
It's a wonderful venture that you have, and it's like one-stop shopping for comedic news. And I'm glad that you were able to present. Now, do you have a few more slides? We have about.
I do. I mean, it's just more of the herbs that I take. So, I mean, again, this is on the website in the health and wellness section. Mm-hmm. But, you know, Rubios is another, you know, herb that I take that has anti-cancer properties in it, helps type 2 diabetes, and just these are the things that, you know, I didn't know about, but I learned, you know, in my research, and just wanted to share it with you guys. So hibiscus is another one that is
I love hibiscus.
Amazing that I use, you know. Let's see. Motherwort. This is the last slide here. Calms the heart, relieves anxiety, fevers, and other respiratory ailments, increases the appetite, and for edema and kidney stagnation, it helps with that. So these are just things that we should just take advantage of. And yeah, they are all on the website.
Outstanding.
Can you run all this?
Outstanding. So now I just want to.
Yes, I run it. Yes, yeah. I'm the creator, and I'm like the one-woman band, basically. So
she's also. Let me just say, for those of you that are on, she's also a part of our technical team. She's the one that converts our services. You know, she does the editing for our services. She gives technical support to Mama Darnisha, and you know, she works.
This show too. I do this show as well.
Yeah, she does this show too. So she is a very busy person, and I'm glad that she was able to take the time. Normally, she's really, you know, she likes to work behind the scenes.
Yes.
And so normally she doesn't come out. You know, so I'm glad that she actually came out, and you know, she always looks nice, but she really dressed up for us, and she has a nice background. So just to recap, so we talked about African consciousness. We talked about the website, comedicnews.com. Remember that site, comedicnews.com. We talked about the global pandemic of COVID-19. We talked about reparations. We talked about repatriation. We touched on a little about police brutality. We just kind of mentioned it. We talked about dual citizenship and sovereignty here in the United States. And then we went into a whole health thing. And we've had some great comments from everybody. Glad that you were on board with us, General. I want to tell you next week we're going to be talking about the Nile Valley Produce Market. Back in the 80s, Minister Makalisi and a brother by the name of Ushaka, he was Ushaka Craig then, came together and we actually had a brick and mortar store in North Oakland, and it lasted for 2 years, and that's what we're going to talk about. Minister Makalisi is going to be on the show next week, along with brother or Dr. Ushaka. His name is Ushaka Nebhu is going to be presenting. So I hope that you all can join us. I see Sister Ngina's name up there. You were around when the Nile Valley Produce Market, Kofi certainly was. I'd like to reach out to Mama Pam Williams, because she was involved in it. And that's what we're going to discuss. We're not going to discuss, why it had to close or anything like that. We're just going to talk about the positive things. And these are things that we're doing leading up to the 40th anniversary of WOSE. So I hope that you could join us next week. Thank you again, Sister Katrina, for that wonderful presentation. A nice PowerPoint, and the website is spectacular. And I'm going to join as soon as we. I'm going to sign up as soon as we get off. Off the
pajama.
I'm going to sign up too.
That's what it is. It's Ujamaa. That's what
I believe in helping the young generation. So she's that new up and coming generation. I have to support her. I don't have no choice.
Yeah,
because it's people like her that we have to make sure she stay around.
That's right. That's right, General. That's right.
I have been doing this since 2007.
I see.
Veteran. Okay.
That's good.
All right. One love, one heart, one God, one aim, one destiny. See you next time. See you on Sunday. Brother Rashidi is going to be doing the historical tribute.
Nice.
That's right. That's right. So jump back.
Wonderful.
So we're gonna see you on Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you in 7 days when we talk about the Nile Valley Produce Market. Uncle Jobson Nev, life, prosperity, and health.
Yeah.
I see.
Blessings.
So,